We have lost objective butter.
I am Batman. I mean, average sniper.
What's up, guys? Average Sniper here. How are y'all doing today? I am doing pretty good, and today I would like to answer two of the questions I get asked the most, and that is, how do you lead moving targets, and how do you aim better? So we're going to start with leading targets, and before I start showing slow motion clips and things like that, I just want to basically tell you guys what leading targets is. So this is obviously a guide for people that are coming over from Call of Duty or are playing Battlefield for the first time. So when you shoot your bullet, contrary to popular Call of Duty belief, not making fun of them, it's just the bullet doesn't travel to its destination instantly. It's very fast, but it actually takes time to get there. So if your target is they don't have to be far away. If they're just even closer range, you still have to lead a little bit. You have to aim a little bit in front of where they're moving in order to get the hit. Pretty simple explanation, but I know people are still going to ask, well, how far ahead do you aim? What's the best method for following them? Should you wait for them to get to your crosshairs? And I'm going to go ahead and answer all these questions as I talk about each one of these clips and slow down some of them so you can kind of get a better idea of what exactly is happening here. So let's start with this clip right here. First, a guy gets shot in the face, then another guy takes off running. I get a hit marker on him, and then I finish him off with another shot. So let's watch that back in slow motion. Now, as this guy starts running, when I scope in, I make sure that the scope is in front of him. And when he gets to the place where I estimate he's just far enough away for my bullet to travel and meet with him, I pull the trigger. I got a hit marker, so I line back up again and do the exact same thing, and I get the kill. Now, I know you're wondering, how do you know how far away to pull the trigger? I think the most important thing with leading targets is to understand the velocity, the bullet velocity of the gun that you're using. Each gun has different velocities for the bullets, which means they come out faster and slower. So you really have to be experienced with the gun that you're using and give it a lot of practice before you can be proficient at leading your targets. If you keep switching back and forth from one sniper rifle to another sniper rifle, it's not going to click right away. It will eventually, but it's best that you stick with just one sniper rifle, learn the bullet velocity on it until you get acquainted with it. There's a video on my channel I'll put in the description that lists the different bullet velocities for the different sniper rifles. Now, when the enemy is moving, sometimes it can be hard to predict what they're going to do. So the question is, should you follow them with your crosshairs until you get to where you want to be? Or should you put your crosshairs in front of where they're going to and pull the trigger right when they get there? Well, for me, when I'm shooting, let's say, medium to longer range, it's easier for me to try and put the crosshair in front of where they're going instead of dragging it there. I do it both ways, it just depends on the situation. When they're close range, I kind of just, scope it in and shoot very close to their body, slightly leading the direction that they're moving. If they're medium range to long range, I like to get in front of them, wait for them to get to my crosshair or to the point in my crosshair where I would pull the trigger, and then I give them that bullet. And occasionally you will see guys, once you get a hit marker on them, they will start moving erratically. These are the hardest guys to snipe. In this case, you need to follow them with your crosshairs and pull the trigger as soon as you get the chance. Just don't panic and start shooting bullets all over the place, because then they're going to do that zigzag run and they'll almost definitely get away from you. So just wait for them to get to that spot and pull the trigger. If they start zigzagging, if you get that hit marker, if you don't get the headshot, then just follow them as best you can and pull the trigger at the best time. Let's go over this one more time. Know the bullet velocity of your gun and get used to it. Practice using that gun until you're so used to the bullet velocity that you just automatically know how far in front of them to aim. Stay with the same sniper rifle until you get used to this, then move on to a different sniper rifle and get used to that one. I'm telling you, if you play this game long enough, your brain will just start doing this for you. Your fingers will just start doing this for you. You won't even have to think about it anymore. It will just be second nature. Secondly, decide, or I guess get proficient at leading your targets both ways by dragging past them when they're closer, and when they're farther away by placing the scope ahead of them and waiting for them to basically run into that spot where you know you can pull the trigger right when the bullet impacts. I'm actually sitting here making hand gestures right now thinking you guys can see them, but I know you can't. So yeah, and then also bullet drop. I didn't talk about this previously, but bullet drop is something that you want to take into account when the shots are further away. If they're close range, don't worry about it. If they're farther away, you might want to also aim a little bit over their head in addition to leading them, because as your bullet travels and takes time to get there, it loses altitude. Gravity and other factors create drag and pulls the bullet downwards, so the bullet kind of moves in an arc pattern. So if they're really far away, and they're moving, you not only have to lead them, but you also have to aim a little bit over their head. Once you get used to all of these, you will start leading targets like a pro. Now, don't expect to hit every single shot. That's just not going to happen. But don't beat yourself up if you miss or you get a hit marker. Just keep at it and you will be fine. So I'd like to move on now to the part of the video where I talk about just improving your aim in general. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. So I'm sure there's probably a million different ways you can go about improving your aim in Battlefield, but what I'm going to talk to you about right now are the ways that helped me improve my aim. So these are the things I use personally to get my aim better. And anytime you transition to a new game, even if you're already a pro at an old Battlefield, it's going to be it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for a new Battlefield. So don't beat yourself up over it. Just play the game and get used to it. But if you want more specific tips, here we go. So when you first start sniping, try to stick with the same gun so that you get used to all the different features of the gun, the way it works, how fast it is, how fast the reload is, how fast the bolt action time is. That'll determine how fast you can take your follow-up shots, bullet velocity, everything like that. So just really get used to the gun that you're using and stick with it. If you don't like it, obviously move on. Don't force yourself to use a gun that you don't like. But if you do like it, use the crap out of it. Alright, use the crap out of it until it becomes second nature. Secondly, make sure you choose the right scope. There's a couple different scopes out there. You have your carbine scopes like this one, you have your iron sight scopes, you have your 4x magnification scopes, and then you have your 6 through 10 times magnification scopes. Personally, my favorite is, or the 5 through 10 times. Personally, my favorite is the 6 times scope. I used the 6 times scope in previous Battlefields almost exclusively, and then my second favorite would be the 8 times scope. After that, I also prefer the smaller scopes like the 4 times. I don't like iron sights too much, but that's just my personal preference. So choosing the right scope and the right magnification are very important, to improving your aim. Understand how bullet velocity and drop works. If you're coming from a previous Battlefield, you probably already know this. It is a little different in Battlefield 1. The bullet velocity is increased, and so is the bullet drop. So, and the bullet drop, it just seems to be a little different. Also, you can't magnify your scope as much as you can in previous Battlefields. In Battlefield Hardline and Battlefield 4, you could magnify your scope up to 1,000 meters. I don't mean magnify, I mean adjust. You can adjust your scope up to 1,000 meters. In this game, you can only adjust your scope up to 300 meters. If you need more information on that, I'll put another link to a video in the description that's all about how to adjust your scope and compensate for shooting when the enemy is close, medium, and long range. So understanding the bullet drop and the bullet velocity of the gun that you're using is incredibly important just for aiming in general. Next thing is sensitivity. You've got to have the right sensitivity. If you're one of those guys that switches your sensitivity up all the time, stop doing that and just get used to one kind of sensitivity. I always like to keep my sensitivity somewhere in the middle, right around 50%, regardless whether I'm playing on console or PC. And by the way, I play on Xbox One and I also play on PC. Xbox One does and PS4, they both do not have aim assist for sniper rifles with a scope. Now if you're using iron sights, you will get that aim assist. If you're on PC, you don't need aim assist because you're using a mouse, so it all balances out. I don't know why they took aim assist away from snipers on consoles and gave it to everyone else, but that's just one of the decisions they made when developing this game, I guess. So that's another thing to keep in mind, is that if you're coming from Battlefield 4 or Battlefield Hardline, you're used to having a little bit of aim assist on your scope, which slows down your sensitivity as you move across your target. So maybe by decreasing your zoom sensitivity, you can kind of get that feeling back a little bit on your console, and you don't have to worry about dragging right over the enemy and not getting slowed down at all. So and that brings me to my next point, which is take it slow. You know, don't go in there trying to quick scope everybody. I mean, if that's your only goal in life, then go for it. But if you're just trying to get better at your aim, then maybe you should stop quick scoping everybody. I'm not saying that you do, but you know, don't worry about holding your scope up and hard scoping it, because that is what sniper rifles are made to do. They're made for accuracy, not to just, you know, scope in until you can barely see the scope and then pull the trigger and get that shot. I mean, maybe that works in like situations where the enemy surprises you, but if you have the opportunity to line up the headshot and kill the guy, which in the end helps your team, then by all means go ahead and do that. So that's basically my last point, which is don't panic when you're shooting your gun. Even if you have multiple enemies, you know, panic, you might not kill them all, but panicking isn't going to help you at all, regardless whether you play on console or PC. I'm not saying you have to play super slow. I'm just saying if you see multiple enemies, don't panic. Just choose your target and take them out. You know, don't just look at both guys and then shoot somewhere in the middle, which a lot of people tend to do. They just see a whole bunch of guys and start shooting like right in the general direction. No. Pick one of those guys, take him out. Pick the next guy, take him out. Choose your targets based on who's the biggest threat. If you see 4 guys and one of them sees you and 3 of them don't, take out the dude that's looking at you first, and then odds are you'll have a good chance to shoot the other 3. Alright, so that's just a general tip. So before the video ends, let's go over these real quick. Get used to your gun. Choose the right scope. That's a huge one. Choose the right magnification. Another huge one. Understand bullet velocity and drop. That goes for everything. And make sure you have your sensitivity right. All those will help you when aiming. And last but not least, do not panic. Try your hardest, your absolute hardest, not to panic. And after that, everything will just come to you. Just like in the previous section when we talked about leading your targets, the same is with aiming. Pretty soon your brain will just start to do it for you, and maybe you'll even just start quick scoping guys, getting headshots because you're so proficient with your gun. Some people are just amazing when they get used to their gun. Well, I hope this video helped you guys. If you enjoyed it, please leave me a like and subscribe for more videos. I will be making plenty of sniper videos for Battlefield 1. If you're already subscribed, I would like to thank you so much, and leave me a comment. Let me know how you like this video, and I will see you guys next time. Once again, thank you very much for watching. I love all you guys, and I love making this content for you to watch and learn from. See you later.